Ask Lori, a show designed to give a better perspective on relationships no matter what the circumstance may be. You can start, have, and keep unstoppable relationships. Lori Ann Davis can tell you how. Have questions? Need answers? Ask Lori.
Thank you for tuning in to the only station giving you double the information and inspiration. WDRB Media and WGIV, the soul of Charlotte. This is Ask Lori, and I'm your host, Lori Ann Davis. Don't let love and passion get lost in your life. As your relationship specialist, I'm here to share secrets with you every week, helping you to create unstoppable relationships. I want to welcome you to this week's show. I am always happy to have you join me. I am here to help you find, renew, and keep love and passion in your life. Whether you're single or you're in a relationship, this show is for you. I'm going to bring you the benefits of 28 years experience helping people to create the relationships of their dreams. And I'm here to help you with yours. If you have questions, which I'm sure you do, please write in and ask them so we can write radio shows and answer them for you. The email is WGIV@asklori, that's Lori, @gmail.com. Again, WGIV@asklori@gmail.com. Then be sure to listen in every week. Today we are discussing how to stop fighting with your partner. But first, we have to thank our sponsor, Dr. Jeff Zeitel at Zeitel Family Chiropractic, where you go to discover the true wellness lifestyle. Dr. Zeitel has helped many in the Charlotte area experience natural healing without surgery or drugs. He's where I take my family, and he is located in the Ballantyne area and can be reached at 704-544-8881. That's 704-544-8881. And today we're discussing how to stop fighting with your partner. Communication can be one of the most effective ways to create and keep a strong, healthy relationship. Talking is important in keeping us aware of our partner's needs, discussing life changes, working out problems, negotiating and settling disagreements. If done the right way, communication is healthy and beneficial to a relationship. However, there are times when it can become harmful. Negative communication not only makes a relationship difficult, it can also be the catalyst to the end of a relationship. This is one of the top reasons marriages deteriorate and couples seek counseling or coaching. We need to feel heard and understood. Otherwise, we don't feel loved. Communication can be a challenge in relationship. Couples talk, but they don't always communicate effectively with each other. So stay tuned, because when we come back, we will continue our discussion on how to stop fighting with your partner with our guest expert. You are listening to Ask Lori, and I'm your host, Lori Ann Davis. You're tuned in to WDRB Media and WGIV, the soul of Charlotte. Zippyshell Mobile Self-Storage is the most convenient and affordable short and long-term storage solution in the Charlotte and surrounding areas. Call 704-323-4056. We are convenient. We deliver the storage containers to your door. You load it at your convenience. We pick it up and store it for you and return it when you are ready. Our facility is alarmed and climate controlled. Save time, save money, save everything with Zippyshell. Call us at 704-323-4056. That's 704-323-4056. We are part of Premier Barter Exchange and are a family-owned and operated company. If you or a loved one are unable to venture easily from your home due to injury, illness, or disability, Compassion Salon Services can provide you with a rejuvenating hair salon service in the privacy and comfort of your own home. Please call 704-774-2204 for more information, or visit us on the web at compassionsalon.com. Compassion Salon Services for immobilized persons. We believe the enrichment of life lies through compassion for the soul. So call us at 704-774-2204. That's 704-774-2204 for your in-home salon services. Welcome back to WDRB Media and WGIV, the soul of Charlotte, and those streaming live through the free TuneIn Radio app. You're listening to Ask Lori, and I'm your host, Lori Ann Davis. We are offering free radio advertisement to business owners and nonprofits and churches. Call today to find out how your commercial can be heard for free for up to 40 million listeners. You can contact me for all the information at 704-999-1781. And if you're just tuning in, we are discussing how to stop fighting with your partner. Joining us in the studio today is John Wilder, a marriage coach in Jacksonville, Florida. He's also the author of the book Sex Education for Adults, Secrets to Amazing Sex, and Happily Ever After 2. Thank you so much for joining us today, John.
My pleasure.
I'm so happy that you're here. So why don't you tell us a little bit, since we are discussing how to stop fighting with your partner. I know that you have a chapter in your book that talks about this. So tell the listeners a little bit about why fighting is detrimental to a relationship.
Well, sadly, when couples start arguing, good conflict resolution skills don't come naturally. They have to be taught. What happens when they start arguing is they start treating each other as the enemy in a win-lose situation, and nobody wants to lose, and so the person who starts the argument, the person whom the argument is with, tends to raise their voice above the other person who's talking loud and mean to them, and then the person who started the argument and tries to out-talk the other person, and the decibel level keeps going up, and they get more and more irrational and more loud and more abusive. And the problem with that is that there's a 50-cent term called the fight or flight syndrome. Now, this is from nature where God put it into our system where you have a massive adrenaline dump into your system, which energizes you to run away from your enemy faster than he can catch you or fight off your enemy to have superior strength. And kind of an example of that is the tales of mothers who lift a car off their child.
Right.
Now, she couldn't do that on her own, but
right.
Because of that massive adrenaline dump, she's able to do it in a brief period of time. But it's designed to dump all that adrenaline, use it up, and then stop. Well, when you're arguing, you keep getting this adrenaline pump, but it doesn't stop, and that energy doesn't get dissipated. And this is often why husbands end up hitting their wives, because the stress level goes so high that they just literally explode. And so it's something that you want to avoid at all costs.
Yeah, all that adrenaline in our systems is not good for us at all. So yes, and we end up saying things sometimes that we don't mean as well. We can get angry.
And you can have a heart attack. I mean, it's very detrimental to your system, too.
Right.
Because once a couple starts arguing, then they tend to continue to argue. And
there's no natural stopping space once you get that adrenaline going and you're both yelling at each other. There's no logical place that stops that argument. That's where you see it going on and on and on.
And the problem is that it never resolves the problem.
Right, because it probably isn't the problem to start with. Right. So talk to us a little bit about how you help couples put an end to that fighting with each other.
Well, I tell them that, I show them how to have good conflict resolution skills. And the first assignment that I give them is, before you even come in to see me, rent 2 movies and watch them for pleasure, but also pay attention to how art is imitating life. The 2 movies that I recommend are The War of the Roses and The Breakup. And I tell the couples to watch for the behaviors that are similar in their relationship and see how those behaviors play out in the movie and how the relationship goes downhill from there, and they ultimately end up breaking up. And with The War of the Roses, not only did they break up, but there was a lot of physical violence and confrontation as well, which is never good and never recommended.
Right.
But then I explained to them that the Bible is filled with outstanding psychology. Now, a lot of churches teach the Bible as an ancient history book, and that's the way a lot of people look at it. But I took a double major in college, behavioral science and Bible theology, and what struck me immediately was the outstanding psychology in the Bible. For example, how can you possibly argue with the psychology of don't let the sun go down on your anger? Now, that's right out of the Bible, but it's outstanding psychology because once a couple starts fighting, the mood in the house is toxic, and invariably there are kids there listening to it who are terrified. They have no ability to stop it, to control it, to escape from it, and they listen terrified, and they're suffering through the same fight-or-flight syndrome that you are, but it's even more stressful on the kids because they lack coping mechanisms.
Right, and they're looking to their parents to
filter.
keep them safe. I spent many years working with those children, so I understand exactly how detrimental that can be to them.
Yep.
Exactly.
And then another chapter or another verse right out of the Bible is speak to each other only in edifying words. Well, now the word the edify, translated from the Greek, literally means to build up, to strengthen, or to reinforce, as opposed to us tearing each other down. If you just make it a rule in your relationship to only speak to each other in edifying words, how can you fight?
True.
There's no place where fighting fits.
Yes. Right.
So
because
I tell people, listen, don't discount the Bible. It has outstanding psychology in it.
I love both of those points. I think both of those points are great. And whether you are a biblical person or whether you're not, those are things that you can take just as basic life lessons, just as basic how you treat other people.
Exactly.
So it applies to everybody.
Even if you're a stone cold atheist, the psychology is still present in the Bible.
Yes,
If you just look at it as good psychology and
Yes.
just forget that it came from the Bible, you can't argue with those points.
No, you can't. Talk to me a little bit, or talk to the listeners about how one partner can keep the peace if their spouse is angry, because sometimes we can't control the fact that our partner has gotten angry. But I know that there are ways that we can help that person to kind of calm down so
Well,
that we can make things better.
The first suggestion that I give them is, again, right from the Bible, a soft answer turns away wrath or turns away anger. Well, if a partner starts yelling at you, you can either respond in kind and it goes all to hell, or you can lower your voice and you can talk in a softer, quieter voice and continue with that. And what happens is that person who's yelling at you realizes that you're not yelling back, you're talking in a soft, quiet voice, and they naturally lower the volume of their voice where you can intelligently discuss the issue.
That works with children as well, by the way. If you've got a child that is yelling and is very irate, I used to teach that all the time to the parents that I worked with, that when you are calm and you lower your voice and actually you start talking softer so that they have a little bit of a hard time hearing what you're saying, they will settle down and pay more attention and calm down so that they can hear you. That's great advice. Yes. What are some negotiating skills that you teach couples?
Well, again, the Bible says a lot causes contention to cease. Well, casting lots was a dice game in biblical times, but if you can't resolve the problem by mutual discussion and mutual compromise, and you're both locked into your own position, you have to come to some reasonable conclusion, because you cannot continue with the same problem continuing to be a problem. So you have to come to a situation where, look, we need to resolve this. I'm not willing to give on my point. You're not willing to give on your point. So let's flip a coin and whoever wins that coin, that's the position that we're going to take. And you both parties have to agree to stick with that. Now, there's another alternative, is that you can discuss different solutions, different compromises, and the ideal situation is to come to a mutually beneficial compromise where you can both live with it, where you can both agree to it. That's the ultimate win-win for a couple. That's the one that I recommend the strongest. But I have backup plans if that doesn't work. And that's
Yes, true.
flipping the coin.
And sometimes every now and then I've talked to people where you have to just agree to disagree. Now, sometimes an action is required, and so I like the flipping of the coin. But if it's not an action, you can actually say, we're just not going to agree on this. I've got a couple that I worked with not long ago, and that was the case. I said, you're going to have to agree that in this particular instance, we're just going to disagree. And so maybe it's not something for right now that we're going to talk about. We're going to focus on the other aspects of our relationship. And it was something that was situational, so it wasn't going to last forever. So we could do that. Obviously, if it's something that's going to keep coming up, then you can't do that. So I want to make sure you have plenty of time to talk about your book, but we have a couple of minutes left. What other advice do you have for couples that you would want to give them in regard to this?
Well, I will donate five copies of the book to your listeners. The first 5 people who call in to ask for the book, I'll give them freebie copies. But here's the deal. I like my practice, I give a money-back guarantee on the book. And in my practice, I don't charge couples until they agree that I've helped them resolve their problems or they don't pay. That's unheard of in the industry. And I tell people, listen, call a half a dozen marriage counselors at random from the phone book and ask them if they'll offer a money-back guarantee. None of them will, but I believe in being accountable to my clients, and because I don't use the counseling paradigm, I use the coaching paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
That it's so much more effective. The average failure rate for traditional marriage counselors is 70%. Would you want to go to a counselor who lost 70 or a doctor who lost 70% of his patients?
That's how I changed what I was doing. My degree is in counseling, and I spent years as a counselor, and really moved more towards the coaching and became certified as a relationship coach, because it is successful. And you're right. Marriage counseling, when people say, been through marriage counseling and it wasn't successful, we have a different way of doing things. So we are able to help people. And everybody, I think, who goes into this, we do it because we have a desire to help.
Well, exactly. And here's the deal. Part of the problem, the reason that counseling has such a high failure rate is that the paradigm they follow, which is 1 hour once a week, and I compare that to the medical model. And if you went to the doctor and the doctor says, listen, Lori, you got strep throat. I'm going to give you a little bit of antibiotic this week. You come back next week. I'm going to give you a little bit more. 24, 28 weeks, so I have that strep throat all cleared up. Well, you'd be dead before you were cured. And most marriages die for the same reason.
Yeah.
And they have this paradigm. Well, how do you feel about that, Lori? How do you feel about that,
as opposed
John?
to helping them come up with solutions that work.
Right. It's like if once they get in touch with their feelings, these solutions will magically appear.
Right.
Well, that doesn't happen. It's like a reporter shoving a microphone in a grieving person's face and asking how they feel. It's a stupid, irrelevant question. Does nothing to help the issue.
Right. So tell us a little bit. I know that you have a book. You are the author of Sex Education for Adults, Secrets to Amazing Sex and Happily Ever After Too. And my listeners listen because I talk to them every week about how to have more love and passion in their lives. So this is your time to give us a couple of minutes to pitch your book, and then I'm going to give them information at the end of the show. Besides, you can do it now, but I'll also remind them about how to get the copy of your book.
Well, I geared the book primarily to young couples, and young couples want basically 2 things. They want happily ever after, and they want a great sex life. The problem is that there is no school for sex to teach men how to give their wives great sex, and according to Kinsey statistics, 72% of all married women over 30 with kids at home have their husbands on a starvation diet of sex once a week or less. Well, and I know that men in that age bracket require sexual relief 3 to 5 times a week. And so they're masturbating to porn, and the women are masturbating to romance novels. There's a whole lot of masturbating going on and not a whole lot of lovemaking going on. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is once I tell them how to resolve their problems and how to have a fantastic sex life, happily ever after is a natural effect. And I did a survey of 200 different women, and I asked them one simple question. As you were growing up, fantasizing about happily ever after, did you ever once think about what that looked like for the man? And not a one of them had.
No, we read the fairy tale novels, and it's all about the princess, and there's no practical.
It's a very narcissistic dream. They never consider what happily ever after, and then what happily ever after too. We want romance. Most women consider romance as something that men do for women. They don't see the need to romance a man in return. Well, men want romance too. We just want it differently than what women do.
Right, it looks different.
I like what you put in your book about how important it is for women to give their husbands respect. that's a commodity in short supply in today's society.
It is, which is one of the reasons I wrote my book. So I wanted to help. This particular book could be for men or women, but I wrote it primarily for women to read because I wanted them to understand how to give the men what the men need in the relationship. And in return, then that encourages him to give us what we need, because I think both of us are passionate about helping people to have quality relationships. And I think that's a great cause.
This is how important respect is to men. We need respect even more than we need sex.
Yes.
That puts it in perspective.
Yes,
for
it's
you.
number one. Well, I think we both have great books out there. Pat ourselves on the back just a little bit, but we really are out there to help everybody. So, John, thank you so much for being with me. I really appreciate it. Listeners, I will give you information on his book again at the very end of the show, but right now we have to take a break, and we will continue our discussion on how to stop fighting with your partner when you get back. John, once again, thank you so much for being with us. I appreciate you so much. Maybe we'll get you back and we'll pick a different topic to talk about next time. So listeners, be listening for his name. We'll definitely have him back. You're listening to Ask Lori, and I'm your host, Lori Ann Davis. You're tuned in to WDRB Media and WGIV, the soul of Charlotte.
I'm Peyton Manning, and I joined Nationwide because they put members first. And what's important to you is important to them.
What about my car?
Yep.
My retirement?
Our house? Definitely. Protecting what you care about. Just another way Nationwide does it right. Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, Columbus, Ohio. Paid spokesperson, subject to underwriting guidelines and scales and availability vary.
Contact Nationwide agent Chance Perry for a free quote today. The only chance you want to take when protecting your business, life, and belongings. It's 704-554-5701. That's 704-554-5701. If you or a loved one are unable to venture easily from your home due to injury, illness, or disability, Compassion Salon Services can provide you with a rejuvenating hair salon service in the privacy and comfort of your own home. Please call 704-774-2204 for more information, or visit us on the web at CompassionSalon.com. Compassion Salon Services for immobilized persons. We believe the enrichment of life lies through compassion for the soul. So call us at 704-774-2204. That's 704-774-2204 for your in-home salon services. Welcome back to WDRB Media and WGIV, the soul of Charlotte, and those streaming live through the free TuneIn radio app. You're listening to Ask Lori, and I'm your host, Lori Ann Davis. If you're just tuning in, we have been discussing how to stop fighting with your partner. But first, if you want to find, renew, and keep love and passion in your life, I am always here to help you. For more information, please check out my website. It's LoriAnnDavis.com. That's LORIANN Davis.com, where you can read my blogs, sign up for my newsletter, find out what events I have coming up, follow me on social media, or if you live in the Charlotte area, you can join my Successful Singles group. I am here to help you create the relationship you have always wanted and deserve. So let me help you. We have been discussing today how to stop fighting with your partner. We've talked about the importance of resolving conflicts in a relationship, and we've given you some tips on how to do so. Now, I want to take a minute to suggest something you can do that is proactive in communication. I love being proactive. Our positive interactions must outweigh the negative ones. Otherwise, one or both partners will begin to avoid conversations and ultimately avoid the relationship. So I want you to be sure to speak positively to and about your partner. Give compliments and be genuine about them. It's also very important to express appreciation. This doesn't always have to be an elaborate production. Just saying thank you for the little day-to-day activities can mean a lot to your partner. It's important to take time to talk every day. Use the time after the kids go to bed, if you have them, or maybe over dinner, to tell each other about work, about other important areas of your life. It's a nice way to wrap up a busy day. Show each other support and encouragement. Remember, you're in this together. You're a team. You're a couple. Adding that positive communication to your day on a regular basis is very important to your relationship. Incorporating all the things we've talked about so far really will set the tone for your relationship. There are going to be times when you need to resolve conflicts or discuss issues, and it's important to learn how to do so successfully. And it's important to have that good foundation, that ground underneath you, so that when you need to resolve conflicts, you've got maybe a history, hopefully, of being able to do that successfully. You also have all that good communication that you have on a regular basis, so that you feel encouraged by the other person. You feel that there's a commitment. You feel the other person's got your back, and you feel connected, and you feel that trust with them, so that you can kind of bare your soul when you need to. You can feel like it's okay to disagree and to negotiate with that person, because you've got all those positives. You have that framework. Because couples, listen, unresolved issues eventually deteriorate relationships. What we are aiming to avoid. Remember, we are here to help you have those unstoppable relationships. For more information, I have written lots of blogs on this topic, and I encourage you to go to my website and read them. You can also pre-order my book, Unmasking Secrets to Unstoppable Relationships, where I have a whole chapter on communication. And remember that you can always get John's book. We're thanking our guest today who is with us, John Wilder. He is a relationship coach in Florida. You can find his book, Sex Education for Adults, Secrets to Amazing Sex and Happily Ever After, on Amazon. So you're going to want to go and get your copy today from him. You're going to want to pre-order my book. You're going to want to go get his book today so that you can read all of the things we have to tell you, all of the information we have for you, helping you to have that relationship that you want. You're also going to want to join us next week when we reveal more secrets to finding, keeping, and renewing love and passion in your life, not only for the weekend, but for every day. I thank you for tuning in and continue to tune in every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. You can also hear me on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. where on the Profit and Growth Hour, where Dr. Business and I are answering all of your relationship questions. I am Lori Ann Davis, and you're listening to Ask Lori on WDRB Media and WGIV, the soul of Charlotte. Have a great weekend.
I'm Peyton Manning, and I joined Nationwide because they put members first. And what's important to you is important to them.
What about my car?
Yep.
My retirement?
Uh-huh.
Our house?
Definitely. Protecting what you care about. Just another way Nationwide does it right. Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, Columbus, Ohio. Paid spokesperson, subject to underwriting guidelines and scales and availability vary.
Contact Nationwide agent Chance Perry for a free quote today. The only chance you want to take when protecting your business, life, and belongings. It's 704-554-5701. That's 704-554-5701. If you or a loved one are unable to venture easily from your home due to injury, illness, or disability, Compassion Salon Services can provide you with a rejuvenating hair salon service in the privacy and comfort of your own home. Please call 704-774-2204 for more information, or visit us on the web at CompassionSalon.com. Compassion Salon Services for immobilized persons. We believe the enrichment of life lies through compassion for the soul. So call us at 704-774-2204. That's 704-774-2204 for your in-home salon services.